You lost money in the crypto crash. You think it was FTX. You think it was bad timing. It was a pig. Peppa Pig ran the biggest financial scam in history, and she did not do it to get rich. She did it because she was in too deep to get out. To this day, nobody knows it was her. This is the story of how the most beloved cartoon on Earth quietly crashed the global economy, and it begins where every disaster begins, at a slot machine. But here's the secret she kept from a generation of children. Peppa is a gambler, a bad one. For years, she fed coin after coin into the machines, chasing a win that never came. The most famous pig on the planet's sweet little voice and all, quietly bleeding herself dry, one spin at a time. She told you she loved jumping in muddy puddles. She loved one sound more, the little song a slot machine plays right before it takes everything you have left. And she did not gamble at home. She did it in the only place reckless enough to take her bets, the underground dens of China. But here's the problem with gambling in China. Every form of it has been illegal there since 1949. No casinos, no slots, nothing. You get 3 years in prison just for sitting down to play. So the machines Peppa fed were not run by a casino, they were run by a triad. She did not owe a bank. She owed the 14K triad, one of the biggest crime syndicates on Earth. And by the time she stopped counting, Peppa owed them more than her entire show was worth. More than the $4 billion Hasbro had paid for her back in 2019. The 14K do not send payment reminders. They send one final notice. By 2018, she could not pay, so the machine came to collect. In a single day, the Chinese government wiped 30,000 of her videos off the internet and branded Peppa a gangster. The world thought it was about cartoons corrupting children. The real reason never made the news. She had been gambling in dens the state had outlawed, and she owed those dens more than she could ever repay. To the government, she was a criminal. To the triad, she was a debt. And just like that, Peppa went dark. One little pig, a triad on one side, a government on the other, and a clock running out. Now, a normal person buried this deep declares bankruptcy. But Peppa is not a person, and she does not lose quietly. With a triad closing in and a debt she could never repay in 10 lifetimes, she did what every cornered gambler does. She bet everything on one final hand. Win, and she walked away free. Lose, and she would be the first cartoon in history to disappear for real. But here's the twist. This time, she was not playing the slots. This time, the mark was you. In 2021, the whole world had gone crazy for crypto, and Peppa saw her way out. She launched a coin that no one could trace back to her. She called it sus. The internet read that as the meme word for suspicious, laughed, and bought in by the million. Nobody noticed it was not even English. Sus is Latin. It means pig. She signed her own name across the trap, in a language she knew no one would ever bother to read. And here's how a fugitive runs a scam without a face. She made the whole thing a ghost. Her family worked it from the shadows. Grandpa Pig moved the money from a boat under a Cayman Islands flag named SS Liquidity. And George guarded the secret key, 12 words long, hidden inside the one thing he never let go of, his dinosaur. The police hunted a faceless team, a pig, a dinosaur, and a boat. They never once thought to look at a cartoon. And as the first buyers trickled in, the family went to work. A coin is only worth what people believe, so they made the world believe. Screenshots of fake profits flooded every feed. A community of 200,000 voices chanted the same word, buy, buy, buy. Most of them were the same 3 pigs on burner accounts. And the trading volume that made it look unstoppable was just Grandpa Pig on his boat, selling to himself on 3 phones. None of it was real. All of it worked. Then the money came. The money poured. For one golden summer, the entire planet emptied its savings into a fugitive pig's invented coin. The price doubled, then doubled again. People sold their cars just to get a seat. Grandmothers remortgaged their houses. Teenagers emptied their college funds. A coin invented by a wanted pig became the safest bet on Earth. For the first time in years, Peppa was almost free. The debt was almost paid. All she had to do was pull the rug, settle with the triad, and disappear forever. But here's what every gambler knows, and every gambler ignores. When you are winning, you do not walk away. She could have stopped right there. She could have paid the debt and vanished clean. Instead, the pig who could never stop pulling the lever let it ride. And every day she waited. The bomb sitting under the entire market grew bigger. She was not thinking about you or your savings or the millions of people standing in the puddle. She was thinking about the next number. She was always thinking about the next number. And here's who paid for that greed. A boy named Pedro Pony put in everything. His savings, his birthday money, a loan he told nobody about. For 3 weeks, Pedro felt like the smartest pony alive. He had already picked out the house. He had even picked the curtains. Pedro is not real, but the millions of people who did exactly what Pedro did, they are very real, and not one of them knew who was holding the water. Then one ordinary morning, the triad found her door. The clock had run out. George finally handed over the dinosaur, the secret key came out, and Peppa pulled the plug. In a single second, she drained every real dollar out of the coin at once. The water vanished. Millions of people woke up holding a picture of a pig worth absolutely nothing. That is a rug pull, and hers was the biggest in the entire history of money. But here's the part she did not plan for. By then, sus was the hottest coin on earth, and the biggest players had loaded up, not with their own money, with yours. A coin called Luna had poured billions into it. So had the giant exchange FTX, quietly betting its customers' deposits on a pig's invented token. When Peppa pulled the rug, all of it turned to nothing in the same instant. Luna collapsed, erasing more than $40 billion in 3 days. FTX collapsed overnight. By the end, over $2 trillion had evaporated from the market. The crash of 2022 was not a market cycle. It was a 4-year-old paying off a slot machine. And here's why you never suspected her. Someone else took the fall. You blamed Sam Bankman-Fried. You watched him go to prison for 25 years. But Sam was only the face. The ghost who triggered the entire collapse was Peppa. He had bet his customers' money on her coin, which made Sam the one man alive who could trace it all back to her. So why did he keep her name out of it? Because Peppa had one thing on him: feet, pics, a whole folder of them. He chose 25 years in a federal prison over letting those leak. While the whole world tore itself apart, hunting for someone to blame, Peppa did not settle her debt. She threw the $14K, a fraction of it, bought herself a head start, and ran. But the perfect crime came with a bill of its own. The most famous face on the planet could never be seen in public again. She could never go home. And the $14K do not forgive a debt. They only postpone it. So for the rest of her days, she would be a fugitive with a fortune and nowhere on earth to spend it. She had robbed the entire world and won nothing she was allowed to keep. No charges, no name, no trace, and no way out. So where does a 4-year-old with everything and nothing actually go? The same place she always went. She walked into a casino, sat down at a machine, and put it all on red. The wheel spun. A cartoon pig watched a little white ball decide the fate of the biggest crime in history. It landed on black. She lost every cent she ran with in a single night because for Peppa, the money was never the point. The casino was never a choice. It was the one cell she had built for herself, brick by brick, spin by spin, and she will still be sitting in it long after the world forgets her name. She crashed the global economy. She beat every government, every bank, and every detective on earth. She just could never beat the machine. She never stopped. She just got better at hiding. A 4-year-old in a trench coat and tiny sunglasses feeding coins into a fruit machine at a petrol station outside Tulsa. A masked high roller at an illegal bingo den above a kebab shop in Cardiff. A regular at a riverboat casino so obscure it is on no map. Seen by hundreds of people. Not one of them ever looked twice at a pig. And you? You still think it was FTX.